You open LinkedIn, there are three types of posts that I see. One of them is AI is taking your job. All the developers are thinking, well, how much sustainable am I to be staying on the market? I know for a fact that many clients or potential clients are overestimating the capacities of AI, and they are stalling now. They are not willing to invest into new features, waiting for the miracle to happen. But miracles, well, mostly happen in movies and cartoons. As a company, we hold no deep technical expertise. We handle the people, and this is our strength. Without the human interaction, without the relationships built within the team, it's not as effective as it could be. We cannot be successful if it's not triple win. Client, the development team working for the client, and us. If any of these sides of these threefold relationships is not happy, most likely there will be no good future for this.
Welcome to another episode of Mobile App Daily's Tech Unplugged series. Today we've got someone truly special joining us from across the globe. Joining us today is Cyril Samovskiy, the founder of Mobilunity, a Ukraine-based nearshore development company serving clients around the world. With 20 plus years of experience across IT, business and leadership, Cyril knows exactly what it takes to build strong, scalable tech teams and do it with heart. In this virtual sit-down, we dive into his journey from starting Mobilunity to scaling it globally, the lessons he's learned through changing times, and how he's reshaping what it means to build remote-first, high-performing tech teams. So grab your coffee and settle in. This is one conversation you wouldn't want to miss. Hi, Cyril. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having me today. I'm very much excited about the opportunity to have a sort of outreach to your audience, to your amazing audience. So I'm putting some hope that some of the things that we'll be talking about will be of a value to the listeners.
Right, absolutely. So, let's start off with the name itself because I'm really curious to know what was the story behind the name Mobilunity and what inspired you to begin this entire organization?
Totally common question, I would say, because if you think about mobility as the mixture of two words, that's a mobile and unity. And this is something that we thought very much years ago of the model that we were trying to prosecute further on. We thought of the people, of their mobility, way before the COVID times, way before the way like people are used to work right now. We thought that we should not be binding the people who are working, mostly technical people who are working on the projects, to a particular office or someplace. And comes for the first part of the name itself, right? Mobile. While the other part is still unity, something that turned out to be very much essential for any sort of organization to succeed. Without the unity on all the levels, right? On the processes, on relationships, on how people perceive the goals put to the organization. Without that unity, probably you cannot be reaching the proper goals. So the mixture turned out to be quite a word for us. We perfectly saw it sort of like something that doesn't exist in the world, and it really clicked all the possible ticks in our planning to be reflecting what we are up to.
Absolutely. Okay. So, Mobilunity focuses on dedicated development teams and nearshoring, right? What makes your approach unique compared to other IT outsourcing companies?
First of all, I even talk this way to my marketing as well. We should understand that to be special, to be somehow distinguished on the market, we really need to be in position itself. We need to be somehow different from everyone else. And if you think how we compete with everyone else, we might be competing with different countries, or not even countries, regions. It might be Asia, it might be Africa, might be Latin America. We are mostly specialized in Eastern Europe. We might be competing on a number of people and number of the size of a typical team we provision. And it's important to state out that there is a gravity between similar sizes of the companies. If the client is, let's say, Google, employing hundreds of thousands of people, very less likely they will be turning to someone small, right? They have reasons to be working with the bigger companies. So this also defines, well, pretty much defines our ideal client that we are targeting.
Yep.
But answering more on what you are asking about, how we distinguish. First and most importantly, we are not mixing the models. So I know quite a number of companies, our competitors, who have both outsourcing teams and dedicated development teams. It's somehow it is good for the organization because they have this flexibility. But if you think from the client perspective, it's not always a genuine interest of a provider to be then serving a particular model that they are offering. Because in some cases, well, the best person better be taken to outsourcing model where the margins are higher, where expertise is expected, and things like that. So we do not do this. We do only one model. We put a very particular things on top of what we are offering. We call it 3 R's of nearshoring. It is recruitment, retention, relationships. We are not adding anything about technical side because down the road we are not technical experts. As a company, we hold no deep technical expertise. We handle the people, and this is our strengths. So these all things pretty much define who we are and how we distinguish ourselves on the market.
So it seems to me that you've really identified your skill sets and you've carved out a niche, but are still really focusing on expanding yourself. So that is commendable, really. So now I want to know about the biggest challenges you faced while you were scaling Mobilunity to 200 plus employees, and how do you ensure long-term win-win partnerships with your clients?
Well, it's here, but yeah, like speaking of challenges, I would say, well, pretty much on every stage of our growth and development, we had very unique ones. I already mentioned, COVID times, of course, and when it was all starting. By the way, we were in Tokyo meeting our potential clients, and the pandemic was already there, blossoming, while in Europe it was still sort of safe. Everyone was looking at us what are you guys doing here? Don't you know about the pandemic and everything like that? You're very brave people. But getting back to the matters, right? We I'm sorry. Can you say again the challenges? Yeah, sorry. Every time there's sort of a new thing that pops up. Every time we are going over unique set of conditions that pretty much define the way we need to adapt to something that is happening. We shouldn't be looking backwards. Look at what is happening right now, right? You open LinkedIn, there are 3 types of posts that I see. One of them is AI is taking your job. All the developers are thinking, oh, how much sustainable am I to be staying on the market? The new people joining the industry, the juniors, somebody who switches from other professions, they got to be thinking, well, is it something that they can afford themselves to be in this profession for some decade or something? Or maybe, well, they got to be choosing some other professional way just because nobody knows about that. We are meeting these challenges same as all the other companies do. But of course, given our gradual growth, we are sort of partially successful in some of mitigating some of these challenges. And here we are, having a company of approximately 200 people and working with some 40 clients worldwide.
Right. So, like you said, you've worked with clients across the world, right? And you've kind of worked in different industries as well. So, what are some key lessons that you've learned from all of these experiences?
Every client of ours sorts of a unique set of conditions, perceptions, and everything. What we tried to do from the very start, we were never trying to build a one solution to everyone. And perhaps in a way, it also affects our ability to grow, because if we had this product, well, you like it, you take it. You don't like it, okay, go to someone else. What we are doing instead, and again, pretty much because of our model, we are providing a bridge to our clients, to the technical talent. And turns out that every particular company, nevertheless, business as a science exists for so many years. How to run a business, well, pretty much everyone knows, but they do it in their own unique way. And the best lesson we probably learned is that every particular client will sort of need and prevail from us doing a very custom thing to what they're willing to get. It might be applicable to recruiting processes, or the way we handle the teams, or the way we maintain the relationships with the client. It might be pretty much anything, but if we take any two clients that we ever worked with, there will be no alike case. They all are very unique. They demand a human approach, not something that we are hoping AI would not take from us in terms of client relationships and everything. And understanding these specific requirements of every client is the biggest challenge and the lesson that we are still learning.
Sense. I think, at the end of the day, working with so many diversified groups of people has to be challenging, but I'm glad that you found your niche. So, I mean, you've clearly kind of, you're good at navigating remote work now, but how do you see the future of remote and distributed tech teams evolving post 2025?
Big thing is happening. We spoke about it, AI. We don't know what it will lead us to. Half say things will get, well, they will stop on some level. Okay, it will be more complicated for juniors to join the industry, but still there will be engineers who actually handle with the help of AI. Others are saying it will be opposite. So that probably would change how the teams will be perceived, because if we get to the point when turns out that to be a software engineer, you still need to know something about the business domain, and not only something, you got to be an expert in how, I don't know, finances are working and things like that. This would probably require the education to be given to particular market that would be hoping to use this skill. From this perspective, I can see that the trends of globalization of development workforce might be somehow stagnating, because if it's in the UK, there is, well, its own financial ecosystem here. There are laws, there are big players and everything. And to build something for this particular market, most likely you would want to have a developer with the knowledge of this particular industry locally, who probably graduated from some, like, financial degree and computer science degree. On other hand, gaining this experience staying remotely probably is something that we saw for the past 15 years that it works pretty well. We see people from any corner of the world having internet access, having access to all the free educational materials, might be grasping the knowledge, but we understand the difference in pay slips are so big, and whatever costs so high in the US might be costing way lower somewhere, let's say Eastern Europe or other regions. So these two levels might be trying to somehow equalize themselves. So that's probably about the future, right? Like, in a year or 2 years from now. Right now, we see the companies are sort of stepping back from fully remote work with their people. We see the giants like Google, Facebook, they sort of demand people to return to the office. And perhaps that's on purpose. They perfectly see and understand that without the human interaction, without the relationships built within the team, it's not as effective as it could be. And down the road, these people are not the machines who write the code, right? We are all requiring this, like, human interaction, some words out of business, some personal connections to work and things like that. So a guess is that the hybrid models will continue blossoming. The remote work will also continue developing, but of course changing from, let's say, taking a particular person for some hours to do the job, maybe more to taking a particular person to handle a particular job to make. So it becomes more manageable, more accessible by the client, more predictable in terms of costs and delivery and things like that. Oh, this is how I sort of imagine things might be developing for where.
So clearly, we're at a point where we're going to see a lot of shifts in working culture across the globe. So that's really exciting to witness. So Mobilunity works with a wide range of technologies, right? But which tech stacks are currently most in demand among your clients?
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone is concerned of AI now. So if you see the demand for the new developers now overall, you would see that like, some solid percentage. I'm not guessing which exactly, but 30-40% of new openings might be at least requiring AI nativeness, and in bigger extent be directly associated with AI, machine learning, and all things like that. The companies are very much afraid of losing the competition. They don't know who they now compete with. Was it the yesterday's competitor, or maybe something new is upcoming that will be powered by some AI engine that will, well, do the trick way cheaper and better, right?
Yeah.
So everyone is looking that way, and we as a company, of course, we feel the market. We understand that our target markets, where we primarily pull the talent from, they are rich with AI talent, and we are building our cadence in presence on these markets to be capable of providing AI engineers, data scientists, everyone who would be very much contemporary and having the job for the next, let's say, 5 years.
Yeah.
This is probably the biggest demand now. On the other hand, seeing so many businesses who are, I'm not saying outdated, but they are a little bit late in digitalization, right? They were never digital first companies, but they start realizing that, well, technology is about the efficiency. It might be replacing some of the work done manually that costs more and more on every market, no matter which market we are talking about. And we see sort of an increase in requirements for these sort of technologies, which nobody would ever match to the AI revolution, but like, something on PHP, something on .NET, something on front end, like, using various traditional and new frameworks. And we keep seeing this as well. So both are sort of significant to us. But I'm saying AI is like, that's well, number one perspective to us so far.
Yeah. So speaking of markets and tech, the outsourcing and staff augmentation market is evolving rapidly. What are some major trends that you see shaping this industry in 2025 and beyond?
Hmm. For the past 3 or 5 years, there is a very interesting growth in so-called employer of record platforms like Riddling, Deal, Native Teams, and many others, remotely, something like that. So these companies are enabling global hiring, handling all the financial, legal, compliance problems that the clients were sort of afraid to step into this industry. And because of these employer of record platforms, the industry grew very much because it's been very much well funded, primarily in the US. American companies saw a way to be collaborating with global talent. And again, using these sort of platforms, they sort of tried and they see it works. Uh, the next need comes after, when they realize, okay, but okay, I can hire a person, anyone, in like, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Morocco, or Ukraine. But how do I find these people? How do they keep them motivated and everything? So whether these EOR platforms, they become more and more all-inclusive platforms like recruitment platform, and then HR platform, and then relationship platform, or as we see now, we as a provider, we see a growth in demand for our services, because the companies who initially tried your platforms, they saw things work, but they see these platforms are lacking human touch. They lack some people who actually will be handling some of the parts, because it's not on the price. It's not included into what the platforms are offering. This together, Nearshoring, as you said, paired with your platform, huge boost in advertisement. They invest quite well in client acquisition. This sort of makes the industry further growing.
So I want to come back to Mobilunity. How do you measure the success of a project or a partnership?
Because of our model, we cannot be successful if it's not triple win. By saying triple win, that means client, the development team working for the client, and us. It's sort of weird setup when, like, if any of these, uh, sides of these threefold relationships is not happy, most likely there will be no good future for this. And to many clients, it also plays well understanding that without this triple success, we ourselves will not be successful. So our measurement, and again, our model assumes that this is a long-lasting collaboration. If it's anything for we come, we try, we fail, we leave, most likely we'll lose money, the client will lose money, developer will lose some good work place to work, change into something to work with our client, and then be dismissed. So we are very cautious about starting new relationships. We are ensuring that we all want the same. If it's a long-lasting relationships, what stands behind this long-lasting thing? We cannot be hijacking our price up because we know the client would probably be seeing, okay, well, it's not paying off further, so we are maintaining that. We cannot be having developers quitting because they're underpaid or because the work is boring or, like, the processes are not as enhanced as they should be. So we are all on the same boat, basically trying to make this collaboration as long as possible. But this comes the answer to your question. If it's long collaboration, this is how we measure it was really effective and it was successful to us and definitely to the client and developer.
So, Mobilunity often talks about giving clients a fishing rod instead of a fish, right? And this is really interesting to me. So, could you explain what this philosophy means in practical terms for your clients and how does it differentiate Mobilunity from other outsourcing firms?
It also somehow touches a little bit to this, like, triple win situation because a recruitment service provider who just finds the person, pushes them to the client, and they work together, they are doing a huge job, but down the road, their participation in this interaction very often is very transactional. We need a person, give us the person, we hire a person, goodbye, here's your money. In our case, we do recruitment as well, but recruiting that person who then will be vetted by our client, we will still need the client to be doing, well, quite a job, because if client is not effective in giving the tasks or managing that person that was hired, there will be no triple win. The person will be probably leaving or won't be effective. If the client is not willing to hear the feedbacks from the development team, most likely things will not go well long run. So by saying we give this fishing rod, yeah, we give a mean to how to use the remote talent, which is huge, which is amazing, which is pretty much unlimited compared to any particular country. But we also send a perfect message to our client saying that, like, they would still need to do a little bit of job. They cannot be thinking that after the person is hired, the issues are gone, because that would never happen locally as well. If you are hiring to your on your payroll to your company to be an in-house employee, well, you still need to be managed, you still need to be motivated, you still need to be heard, you still need to be worked out on many things that influence this success of potential collaboration. Same happens with us with our model, and we are very clear about that, talking to potential clients, that, like, it's really not about hiring us so we do everything. This would be a good outsourcing, but, like, well, even good outsourcing with do everything often ends up with, like, lots of questions and lots of work to be done by the client themselves. Here we are explaining that we'll be hinting which fish need to get this to buy this worm on a fishing rod, but the work would still need to be done by the client. We'll be helping them doing that work, but without making that work, things will not work out.
Right, absolutely. So, in the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned the 3 R's of nearshoring, right? I want to learn more about this. How do these principles influence how you build and manage dedicated teams for clients? And I would really appreciate if you would give me some examples as well.
Well, it interacts not only with the start of our conversation, but even with these recent examples. So 3 R's of Nearshore, in the way we believe it, is like first R is recruitment, second retention, third relationship. Recruitment. This is, to be frank, like, a driving factor to some 50% of our clients right away. They come to us having the biggest need. I would need somebody to help me with recruitment. But somehow they end talking to us and not to recruitment agencies alone. We explain them that, of course, recruitment must be very properly built. We would need to be, well, asking lots of questions. We don't want to be taking the client's time to be vetting some candidates who might be not ideal fit and everything, and so on and so forth. We are investing particularly into this first R of 3 R's to be competitive with recruitment agencies, because there are so many, and they might be doing some of the things, well, let's say cheaper. Maybe like, with one payment it looks like a little bit more expensive, but they charge once while we charge monthly. We have special additional services like technical interview service that is a perfect fit to some organization who has not enough people of their own who are capable to be involved into the interviewing process, or maybe they have no single person for that because they are not specializing in a particular technology, and we having approximately 500 people on our profile, not on our payroll, but on our profile. We know them as experts. We know what they're strong about and how they might be helping us interviewing and vetting people. This is something that we offer as the first R of nearshoring recruitment. Being, oh, not modestly to say, but like, I can see in technical field we are one of the strongest recruitment service providers, competing with recruitment agencies who are, well, pretty much taking the resume based on keywords and then being incapable of ensuring what exactly expertise stands behind the resume. We can do this, and this, of course, of bigger value. But after the hiring, and this is something we explain to our clients, potential clients, hiring is not as complex, because down the road, like, developer wants to be like, chosen, show his best, everything. But then comes the retention. To most of our clients, again, we return to the need of work in long run. To most of our clients, the onboarding period, while developer will be learning something about the industry, about particular product, about the processes that need to be applied to their work, well, that's maybe 6 months, maybe sometimes even more. Without retention, professionally organized by service provider, there is no long run for any recruitment that might be very much successful. So retention to us, that's of course the work that we put on with working with the teams, having one-to-ones, measuring all the possible differentiators of how a particular perception of some event or some work overall might be changing on the developer side. But also we advise the client what might be done, because, well, we now work with some 40 clients. For the last 14 years we worked with more than 100. We have enough experience to say that, like, we were in so many different situations with the developers who need to be somehow retained to be staying on a project and being effective. So we have something to share, we have some things to advise, and that's a big part of what we are doing. And down the road comes the third part of 3R, relationships. This is something that I mentioned to you previously. Having 40 clients now, we basically have 40 unique sets of process setups that were built particularly or on top of some standard thing, but then built and customized particularly for every client. Because some are willing to have a conversation each and every week. Some are not willing to pick up the phone ever after we start collaborating with them. And we need to somehow find an approach to each and every client for them to be getting enough value worth the money that they are paying. Altogether, like I said, this is something that distinguishes us as a software services provider, and we are not coming on this shaky land of where we say we have technical expertise, we'll do the technology for you instead of you. To many, that's a deal breaker, and we are not stepping into this field intentionally, limiting ourselves to basically to we're in people business. We handle the developers for our clients, we handle the clients for our developers, and we maintain these three-way relationships.
And I really admire how you've kept people at the center of all the 3 hours, and I think that's why it works so well. Okay, great. So now I want to move on to the next segment of the video, and this one's going to be a really fun one. I have a few rapid fire questions for you, and I want you to answer as soon as you can.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, ready.
So the first question is, what's the one tech tool you can't live without?
Email. I love all the instant messaging. I love the calls, like everything. But like to me personally, maybe a little bit old school, but email is something that like a put in stone. If it's an email, that's a thing. And again, like working with my common day, I mean, like I can balance it in a way, understanding how much I have in my email. So like email is like the biggest thing to me.
I think it's a comfort zone as well, right?
Yeah, but like if you think email is not changing for last 20 years, and that's a little bit upset. We are so much stuck with how Gmail perceived the
Yeah.
interface. I remember times when like we were using different mail clients to handle email, and like some of the features I'm still missing, but like oh, this is how it is now.
Okay. So the second question is, what do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Coffee, twice a day, always in the start of the day, end of the day. With my wife, we discuss pretty much everything, our family things, our work things. Without coffee, I'd be gone. On the other hand, I'm residing in the UK now, and not being a tea fan is probably a little bit not respectful to the origins of this afternoon tea tradition, but I'm working on it now.
Okay. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Choose something in between, to be frank. I hate being early, and I hate an essence of working, let's say, on the like end of the day. So if it was a choice with a third little option, I would say let's make it within like normal hours, like 10 to 6, and that would be amazing. Any distraction from this schedule is like it's a stress.
Honestly, I think I would also opt for that option. Yeah.
Well, you see, like worth of it in the third one.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your favorite programming language?
Very old answer, it would be PHP, because this is something that I used to master like some 20 something years ago, and nevertheless I'm not coding for past 15 years or something. I can still read the code, I can still do quite interesting things, and I'm missing those much. I didn't try myself on many new technologies, programming languages, and perhaps I will not do it anymore. So PHP is number one for me.
Okay. And speaking of tech, what's the most exciting tech trend right now?
AI is exciting and scaring
Yeah.
me as well. I know for a fact that many clients or potential clients are overestimating the capacities of AI, and they are stalling now. They are not willing to invest into new features, waiting for the miracle to happen. But miracles, well, mostly happen in movies and cartoons. But still, I admit that the breakthrough it did for the past 2 3 years, with the how public it became, that every person without technical education, without knowledge, might be doing very complicated things. That's of course a revolution. So without any doubt, it is AI.
Right. Okay. A book or a podcast that recently inspired you?
Actually, it's a mixture, because I had books, I had podcasts, and I also took a course from Rory Sutherland. That's a British marketer, very interesting one. I love everything that he talks about. So yeah, last year and I took a course from him. I graduated this spring, and I had books from him. I keep seeing him on my Instagram, on Facebook. So like he's really having this proper marketing machine on speaking on things that, well, first of all, they are very much interesting. Secondly, I guess it is like quite innovative for our times. So not knowing many others, I consider him to be one of the greatest marketers in our times. And well, if he happens to see your video, I would be like, waving because he really changed lots of things how I perceive.
So, what's one word that describes your leadership style?
Challenge. I'm not the easiest manager to work with. That's all I know for sure, and I'm not about to change. But what I'm certain about is that people whom I work with, there is no way they can be living without a challenge, and I challenge them quite permanently and on everything that they are doing. They can always do better. They can always learn new things. They can always try new approaches. They can always be something better. I think in time they agree with this, not essentially during the period of our collaboration. Maybe to some it might be a little bit too hard, but yeah, I myself I cannot live without like agreeing on something that is happening right now and like just
Yeah, I think challenge kind of makes you want to strive for more. So it's a good skill to have. It's a good way to lead.
yeah, I mean, like, as long as it's controlled, right? I mean, we don't want to be like, to be too pushy to the people around. Sometimes I am, and I admit this, but yeah, if it's one word, I would guess that's one.
Okay. Basketball or football?
Play basketball, watch football. Since Michael Jordan times, I cannot watch basketball with that passion that I used to 30 years ago. But if it's playing, of course, it's basketball, and I'm a big admirer of the game itself. I miss the games we had on the corporate level. So playing basketball, watching football.
Okay. And what's your favorite city in the whole wide world?
I was thinking, well, the easiest answer would be my native city, Kiev in Ukraine, which I cannot return to for quite a time already, or my new city, London, UK, where I will reside and we're, well, very happy about how the city welcomed us. But this would be too simple to give as an answer. I would guess it's somewhere in between of Paris, Rome, and Barcelona. The three cities that we are very much often visiting and just to recharge ourselves and everything. So I would say Roman culture. Obviously, all three countries are like speaking Roman languages, and yeah, any of these would do well for the best city in the world.
Amazing. And the last one, if you could have dinner with any tech figure, who would it be?
That's a good one. From tactical perspective, not speaking of some celebrity everyone knows, well, there is a company originated from Belarus, but they were very, very big in Ukraine. It's our, I cannot say competitor because they are just enormous. They're huge and they are not in our dedicated development team's model, but the company is called EPAM, and the founder of that company, Arkady Dobkin, whom we personally met at the event run in British Embassy in Ukraine. We met, we had a conversation for some 10 minutes. I love the guy. I mean, like, I cannot say for sure how he operates exact parts of his business. And now I think he has no executive role in all that. But the way he grew it from some 20 people in 90s to some hundreds, thousands people now, maybe not hundreds, but 50,000 or something, putting it to New York Stock Exchange, making it public company, everything. I'd probably pick a conversation with him again. Nonetheless, I had one years ago. But if we spoke about someone that we all know, I think it would be Jeff Bezos.
Got it.
Or, well, I know lots of things not too pleasant about Amazon, right? Like, they're very pushy. They like, make it hard for people to strive, but feels like, that's a very efficient organization. And out of all the technology leaders nowadays, I would probably be having a conversation with him about how it was back then in 90s, how he perceived the future and things like that.
So that's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And how was your experience?
It was amazing. Thank you so much. These are great questions. make me think myself what would be the answer, and understanding what the answer is, of course, like, it somehow pushes to, like, to more thoughts, more challenges, more everything. So I appreciate a lot your time talking to me, having me on your show. And yeah, like, that's been amazing.
It was a pleasure. And yeah, I hope I see you again. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps another episode of the Tech Unplugged series. A big thank you to Cyril Samovskiy for joining us and sharing such honest and insightful thoughts. If you found value in this conversation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more inspiring stories from leaders like Cyril. Got questions or thoughts? Drop them in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep innovating and stay unplugged.